Hi friends, I am here with the last bit of my BEA book haul. I said that some of my books hadn't arrived yet because Little Brown was nice enough to actually ship the books that I got at their brunch. So I got those, and I also had a few other books show up this week, both that I purchased and that I got for review. So I'm going to go ahead and go through those. First, I'm going to start with my rather plentiful Little Brown book haul because they were very, very nice at their brunch, and I got a whole bunch of things that I'm very excited about. Perhaps most exciting is A.S. King's latest book, Gloria O'Brien's History of the Future. I love A.S. King. I haven't loved all of her books. I actually ended up DNFing her last one, Reality Boy. But the thing about A.S. King is that she really sort of reinvents herself with every book. They're all very unique. They're very different from one another. They're unique not just to other authors' work, but within her own body of work. And Gloria O'Brien's sounds amazing. So it's that Glory wonders whether she will end up committing suicide like her mom did, but then she gets the ability to see into way, way, way into the past and way, way, way into the future. And what she sees in the future is basically a dystopian regime taking over and women's rights going away and all of this really, really terrible stuff. And so Glory, even though she doesn't know that she wants to live, she knows she wants to save people from having to live in this future. How epic does that sound? Incredibly epic, and I'm sure it's going to give me all of the feels. Very excited for Gloria O'Brien's History of the Future. This is coming out in October. Next, I got the Doubt Factory by Paolo Bacigalupi. This one is about a girl whose father runs a firm that helps with propaganda for big corporations, and basically she starts learning about what he's been doing and joining up with activists and stuff like that. So it sounds like fairly typical dystopian fare, but at the same time, I am really curious to try Bacigalupi's YA fiction because I read one of his adult books, The Wind-Up Girl, and it was definitely too smart and sciencey for me. So I think the YA might be more my speed, and I also don't think he would be doing something half-heartedly because of that being a popular genre. So I think this one will probably be really, really good. It's also quite long, almost 500 pages. This one's also coming out in October. I actually debated whether I wanted this one, but the publicists at the Little Brown Breakfast, they featured titles by authors who were debuting or who hadn't been as popular up to now, rather than featuring their big name titles like the two that I just featured. Uh, so the publicist made this one sound really good, and I couldn't resist picking it up, even though initially I was sort of thinking it might not really be a Christina book. So that is The Young World by Chris Weitz. And Chris Weitz actually is a film writer slash director. He did Twilight, Saga New Moon, and The Golden Compass. Neither of which movie, well, I actually haven't seen New Moon, so I can't comment on New Moon, but I didn't really love the way they did the Golden Compass movie. But even so, I just wanted to give it a try. And again, even though I've been endlessly disappointed by post-apocalyptic and dystopian fiction, I keep trying because I really love it in theory. So I hope that this one works for me, and if it doesn't, I'm sure I'll pass it along to somebody who might like it more than I did. They were also very much featuring this book, and they made this one sound amazing as well. And that is We Should Hang Out Sometime by Josh Sundquist. And this one is semi-autobiographical. Josh Sundquist has a prosthetic foot or a prosthetic leg, I can't remember exactly. And I think he has a really popular YouTube following. But this one is imagining that a guy who is like Josh, with a prosthetic limb, is trying to figure out why he can't get girlfriends. And so he's tracking down every girl that he's ever tried to date and trying to find out why it didn't happen. And I think this could actually be really, really funny and very cool. So I am looking forward to this one. It definitely sounds pretty safely like a Christina book. And I also really just love this cover. If you follow Jamie the perpetual page turner on Twitter, then you may have seen a tweet she did during BEA while the novel brunch was happening. And she said that I had peed my pants. I was actually wearing a skirt when they said that there was gender bending in a particular book. And that was The Walled City by Ryan Groudon. And I did not actually pee my pants, for the record. But I did gasp very loudly because gender bending is one of my very favorite tropes. And this is also in an Asian setting, inspired by a real walled city, I think in China. And it sounds so good. It sounds so good. So there's a girl who gender bends in this really dangerous city so that she can stay safe. And there is a boy who works for a kingpin, and he's also trying to not die. And the girl is trying to rescue her sister, who is in a brothel and probably needs to get out sooner rather than later. I just think it sounds so amazing. And I've been hearing great things about this one actually from people that I trust. So hopefully that turns out well. Oh, oh, I caught a kitty. I caught a Percy. Percy wants to help tell you about this next book, which is super appropriate because it's called Wildlife by Fiona Wood. And he is himself a little bit of wildlife, aren't you? Look how wild you are trying to escape. You don't want to be tame life. This one, also, they promoted this one. It sounds amazing. This is an Australian book. And so it's been out in Australia, I think, for a year or two already. The reviews are amazing, and I'm pretty much positive that I'm going to end up loving this one, especially since it is recommended to fans of Melina Marchetta, Rainbow Rowell, and E. Lockhart, all of whom write contemporaries that I absolutely love. This is about two girls, even though the cover is a guy and a girl. One of them is trying to recover from the death of her boyfriend, who is a cyclist, and the other one has like a cute romance and friend drama, and it's all set, I think, in like their school has like a wilderness semester or something. I don't remember exactly what that was about. There's also an outdoorsy element, which, while not something that I would actually enjoy doing, does sound like something I will enjoy reading about other people doing. This is a very important distinction. Salt and Storm by Kendall Culper. They featured this one as well. This is a debut novel. Apparently, what actually got her on their radar, the author, was that she was planning to write a Western, and one of the publicist at Little Brown is very into Westerns. However, she first wrote this book about a whaling community, but it's also a fantasy, and historical fantasy is kind of my jam. I have many jams, though. Enjoy many flavors of jam. And, you know, I can't really tell you too much about what it's about other than the whaling stuff. The blurb isn't giving me too much to work with, but I am pretty sure that it's such a unique idea, and I'm very hopeful that it will be amazing. And now for something completely different, a fluffy contemporary, Famous and Loved by Rebecca Searle. I've heard very mixed things about Rebecca Searle's novels, and I'm not sure which camp I'm going to fall into. It seems like people either really like her stuff or really don't like it. This one is very meta sounding, so it's about a girl who gets cast as the lead in a popular YA trilogy's film adaptations, and it's about a love triangle, of course, and the girl is choosing between the two guys, and she in turn is choosing between her two co-stars romantically. So it sounds like it could either be very self-aware and very clever, or like it could be the worst of those things times two. So I'm hoping that it will be self-aware and clever, and that I will love this. But I couldn't resist trying because when fiction is reflecting on itself, I always really enjoy that sort of navel-gazing aspect. Also, these weren't featured at the brunch, but I asked about them because they are the Little Brown books that I was most looking forward to in the season that's happening right now. The first one is Elusive by Emily Lloyd Jones. This one was pitched as X-Men meets Ocean's 11, and I've heard from Dahlia Adler, who has already read this, that is completely accurate marketing. And considering how much I love both of those things, I need it in my life. As it is, I am a big softie for stories about people with powers. I tend to rate them about a star higher than I would otherwise. So if it's actually good and it's about people with powers, this ought to be in my top ratings. And then finally, the last little brown book is Love, Lucy by April Lindner. I love A Room with a View. I love the book as well, but I think the movie, it's one of those rare times where the movie surpasses the novel. And I will read any adaptation of it. I've only encountered one other adaptation in all of my reading years, but I am so excited to read this. So excited. And if you are not excited because you're like, what is A Room with a View? Go read it or go watch the movie. Preferably do both. While I was at BEA, I asked at Houghton Mifflin Harcourt about a particular book, and they took my card and said that they would send it. But I've done that before at BEA, and usually things don't arrive, but this one did, and I am so excited because Hellhole by Gina D'Amico. Gina D'Amico's Croak trilogy, which were her first 3 books to be published, are among my favorite books of all time. They are so funny and so dark. And Hellhole looks like it's going to fall into that same dark humor, but maybe gonna surprise, destroy your feels. From Mac Kids, I got 2 books this week. The first is Evidence of Things Not Seen by Lindsay Lane, which I really can't tell you too much about. I know it's parallel universes, and I know that it has a gorgeous cover. This is basically the extent of my knowledge. I read the back copy, and all it told me is parallel universes. So it's intentionally being confusing. It wants you to just read the book and find out, which I'm going to do because this pretty cover told me that I had to. And then The Vault of Dreamers by Carrigan O'Brien. I requested this one. This was an automatic request because I really enjoyed O'Brien's previous series, though I actually haven't finished it, but I liked the first 2 books quite a lot and immediately curious. And this one is about a girl who is attending Forge School for the Arts, which is a very prestigious school, but it's also apparently a reality TV show. So people are watching them as they go to school. And she one night skips, apparently they're given pills every night to help them sleep, and one night she skips her pill and she discovers that there's a whole lot more going on beneath the surface, which I'm sure we're all shocked to realize that there's something nefarious happening in this school where they televise their students all of the time. From Penguin Adult, I got The Bookman's Tale by Charlie Lovett. This book is about a man a bookseller, whose wife dies, and he is very sad, obviously, because his wife died. But he's doing some research. He gets into restoring old books, and in one of them, he finds a picture of a woman who looks like his dead wife. In a series of events that probably make more sense when there is more detail than is available on the back copy of the book, he discovers a whole bunch of stuff about Shakespeare, and it's apparently going to be about Shakespeare's real identity, and this is the kind of historical that I enjoy. I want a book from Library Thing that is The Major's Daughter by J.P. Francis, and this one is about a small town in New Hampshire that is changed when 150 German prisoners of war are sent to stay there. And then, of course, there is a beautiful girl who serves as a translator for them and who falls in love with one of them. And this sounds good. While I was at BEA, I went ahead and bought Laini Taylor's second book in her Dream Dark series because it was at Books of Wonder and it's very hard to find. And I didn't actually own the first one yet, so now I do. That is Blackbringer. I am not sure when I'm going to get to these, but I'm very excited to have them now, even though I'm sure all of you are dying because I didn't buy the hardcover to match the other one. But I really don't care about that, guys, to be honest. So that is what I have for you this week. I hope you're all having an excellent week, and I'll see you later. Bye.